Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Poultry Showmanship tonight. My name is Emery Bork, and I am a 4-H educator here in Vernon County. And if you know where Vernon County is, if you make your hand like the state of Wisconsin, I think things are backwards in Zoom, but we're right over here by Minnesota and under La Crosse. So I'm looking at some of the counties that you guys are putting next to your names, and it looks like we have lots of people joining from all over the state. So welcome. Like I said, over 200 people signed up tonight, so we've got lots of different skill sets and levels beginning with us tonight. And before I ask kind of where everyone is at, I will introduce my co-host for the night, and I am going to close out my chat box so I can see everybody. Okay. Awesome. So my co-host tonight is Amy. Amy, do you want to unmute and introduce yourself? Let me pin you here. There we go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amy Mitchell. I'm in Crawford County, the 4-H educator there, and very excited to be on tonight to learn some more about poultry myself. So thanks for letting me do this.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm sure that many of you will have questions as I go through things tonight. Feel free to type away in the chat box. I will mostly just be looking at your videos and such. So Amy, when a question comes through there, feel free to go ahead and stop me and ask the question, and I'll try to answer it. And so we'll go from there. So we'll do questions that way. Just throw them in the chat box, and Amy will handle making sure that I know them, that they're on there. And okay, so let me unpin myself here. Oop, there we go. Nope, that didn't work either. Okay, gallery. So I want to see a show of hands. How many of you, this is your first poultry Zoom, showmanship Zoom, it's your first year doing the chicken project, you have no idea what you're doing, you're really, really new at this. Show me. You can either raise your hand in your video, or if you are an expert on annotations or whatever, you can raise your hand. So how many of you guys on here are new tonight? I've got a couple of screen people, and then we got lots of people that don't have videos. Okay, so we're going to guess. Lots of new ones. Okay. All right, thank you. Go ahead and put your hands down. How many of you have maybe done this once or twice? You kind of feel like you know some basic knowledge and what to do, and you're looking to kind of get better. So like intermediate level. How many of you guys are there? Go ahead and raise your hands here. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Okay, good deal. Okay, hands down. Where are my experts? The people that may or may not learn tonight. Anybody who really knows what they're doing? All right, we've got Ian and Aria, perfect. Ethan and Savannah, Jackson, okay. Awesome. So those of you that know a little bit more about poultry and showmanship, I would love for you guys, when I ask questions or need feedback, to unmute and to help me out a little bit in teaching your peers. And hopefully I will kind of get more into some advanced stuff for you later on at the Zoom. But we're going to go ahead and start out with some really basic stuff, since it seems like the majority of the people on tonight are at a beginner level here. Okay, let me find myself here. And okay. And again, if you have questions, just go ahead and oh dear. Sorry, I'm not the most proficient at Zoom here. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I have been raising poultry since I was in about 4th grade. I've had just about anything and everything. Turkeys, geese, ducks, guineas, to every type and variety of chicken. I love poultry. I really enjoy it. They're a great hobby, and I'm assuming that you guys are having fun too. I started hatching eggs when I was really young, and so if that's something that you haven't tried yet, that's a really great side project, is incubating and learning about the science behind hatching chickens is pretty fascinating. It can be super fun and super rewarding, and sometimes then you have failures, but it's kind of a really fun investigation to find out why. So I do some judging at fairs, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit tonight about some of the things that I see in showmanship classes, and give you some advice. Those of you that are more advanced, I'll give you some advice for that as well. I am battling a little bit of a sore throat and a headache tonight, and I'm trying to make sure I have good energy, so please excuse me if I kind of fizzle out here at the end. But okay, so chicken basics. Everybody has their chicken with them. If not, totally okay. Just try to maybe take some notes. There'll be some facts that it'll be really important for you to write down. When you're doing showmanship, it's in 2 parts. So the first part is you showing off your bird and identifying all that you can about your birds. So when we think about showmanship is like show me what you know. Show me that you can talk about your bird and really impress me. So you turn into a showman. So poultry and rabbit showmanship are very different from large animal livestock. It's more about your knowledge and your presentation skills. So if you're, maybe a little bit of an introvert like me, it's not my favorite thing to talk to people. If you get nervous speaking to people, find somebody that you can practice with a lot, because speaking is a huge part of it. And when you're speaking to the judge, yes, you're focusing on your chicken, but you need to make sure that you continue to keep eye contact with the judge. Not all the time, right? Because you are going to be looking at your chicken and pulling things out and identifying, but make sure that you have this whole concept of look down, look at the judge, look down, look at the judge, look down, look at the judge. Because if you kind of hide and you're all down here and you're not engaging with me, then that can come against you as far as your points and your rankings. So you want to make sure to maintain a relationship with the judge. And to give you a little secret, as judges, most of the time we're probably more nervous than you are. So don't worry about that. We want to make sure that we do the best job that we can. And yeah, we get a little nervous, like, oh, I hope I did okay, right? Because there's so many chicken breeds and so many rules to think about. So don't feel like the judge isn't nervous too. So knowing that, you just come right in there and we'll do it together, okay? You may see me writing down on a piece of paper or making check marks. There are some forms that some judges will use as you go through different things. Don't get nervous, okay? That doesn't mean that you messed up. I might be making a note like, wow, they did really good on that part, and I need to remember that they did that. So don't get nervous if your judge is writing a lot, or if you're trying to look at the judge and the judge is writing on the paper, that's okay, all right? So 2 parts. Showing off your chicken and your knowledge, and then the judge is going to come back and ask you questions. So you need to be prepared to answer questions. So I might throw out some facts tonight, and you'll want to make sure to write those down because they're very common questions that judges always ask. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Amy, did we have any questions come in about what I just chatted about, or could we move on?
We have lots of great comments and little chit chat going on, but yeah.
Okay.
No
Awesome.
questions.
All right. So, when we start, you're going to introduce your name and your club to the judge. So, when you approach the judge, you're going to say, hi, my name is Emery Bork, and I'm from the Springville Superstars 4-H Club, and this is my let's see, where are you? You're Barred Rock. She doesn't look like a Barred Rock, but maybe she is. Okay, this is my Barred Rock hen. Or is it a rooster? I don't know. Let's do rooster. This is my Barred Rock rooster, Snowy. And today I'm going to talk to you about Snowy. Okay? So we're going to say your name, your club, introduce your chicken, the breed, okay? Color variety, if you have a chicken on there that has a color variety. I saw some of you that had like a silky, let's see, what else did I see on there before? We'll just stick with the silky. You're going to say like a white silky, because silkies can come in many different colors. So make sure to identify the color. And then after you introduce yourself, you're going to go into identifying the parts of your bird. I did see a question come through. What should you wear? Those of you who are more advanced, older youth, at about that time, you're expected to wear a white lab coat. If you don't have one or you don't have the means to purchase one, that's completely okay. You would want to wear like a white jeans or black jeans and a nice button-up shirt. Try to look nice. I am not in okay attire tonight to do showmanship. Sweatshirt or t-shirts. You want to show the judge that you respect their time and their opinion, and so we want to dress up for them. So I would say like a nice plaid shirt, button-up shirt. If your fair is in the middle of summer and it's absolutely swelteringly hot, go ahead for a short sleeve version of that. And then as soon as you're done with your showmanship, you can change out of that. That's perfectly fine. Okay. Good question. So now what we're going to do is identify the parts of your chicken. Okay. So one of the things that you want to remember is to go from head to chest to feet and then to the back of the chicken. So go in a line. This will help you to stay focused. Yes, same rules for all poultry. Depending on your fair, if you show turkeys or not. Turkey showmanship is actually done like pigs, where you walk them around an arena and guide them. So it's a little bit different. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So we're going to go ahead and start. Some of my more advanced or intermediate youth, do you want to help me come through and identify some of these parts for me? Let me change my camera angle here. Oh, okay. Okay, can anybody tell me what this is?
Home.
Yes. How about this?
Beak.
And these little guys down here?
Waddles.
Waddles. Yes. Okay, how about this thing right here?
Breast.
Okay, what else is in there?
Chest.
Starts with a C. Ends with a P. It's inside. It gets big and round and solid when the... Yes! Thank you! Good job! Okay? So there's lots of different things in here, right? You can do organs. You can do bones. Okay? You could even say chest. I would expect chest from a beginner. I would expect breastbone, breast, crop, keel from more intermediate advanced. Yes. Okay, moving down to the legs. What do we have right here?
Eye.
Yes. And this part? Anybody know? Starts with an S. Ends with a K. The shank, yes, good. And toes, right? We have toes. What if my chicken was a silkie? How many toes should my chicken have?
5.
5, good. Okay, so if you're showing a silkie, which I saw some of you do have, you're going to want to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th toe, because silkies have 5 toes. Remember, showmanship, or showing off information, right? Do you guys see why I use a stuffed animal instead of a real chicken? Because we're just flopping them all over again. Okay, so now that we're on the back of the chicken here, what about this part? What's this part called? Saddle. Excellent. And this? Tail. And what about this part? Close. What's the actual term? Ooh, I would expect that from an advanced. What's the kind of the beginner term? Vent. Correct. Okay. Excellent. So, what we've identified as far as the saddle and the tail, I would expect from a beginner. From an intermediate and advanced, what other things happen in this area that you could identify to the judge to show off your knowledge?
Sickles.
Yes, sickle feathers. If this was a rooster, right? The sickle feathers. What about here?
Those sickles too.
Yeah, tail feathers, right? So you're going to want to identify tail feathers, not just the tail, right? Okay. What about here on the neck? Hackles. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this guy's wings are sewn here, so I can't pull them out. Okay. My more advanced intermediate, what can I do here on the wings?
Flight wings or flight feathers.
Flight feathers. So we have the
primary and secondary.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. We have some really good helpers. Okay, so yes, we're gonna identify the feathers on the wings here. All right, who's got a real chicken that can show me these primary and secondary feathers here? Let's see. Can anybody hold their chicken up to? Okay, I see B's doing it. B, I'm gonna pin you. Oh wait, you jumped. Where'd you go? Okay. Add pin. Okay, B, can you show those feathers to us? Or did your chicken get away? Did it run away? Okay, it ran away. It's camera shy. It got too scared. Too many people on. Okay, Ian, do you still have your phoenix? Yeah, okay, let me,
Yes, I still have my...
Okay, can you, where'd you go? There you are. Can you, add pin? Alright, show us those beautiful wings for us.
Me?
Yeah, I pinned you. Go ahead. See if your little phoenix will let you do it here. Oh, now he's caught in your cord. Chickens in the house is always super fun. There we go. There's those lovely primary, those really big long feathers, and tucked underneath there is those lovely little secondaries. Okay. So, thank you, Ian. Thank you, little phoenix. All right. Okay, so I saw. How do we figure all this out? How do we learn all these body parts and what's going on in the inside of our chickens or the inside of our ducks or pigeons if you're doing a pigeon? And that question, let me see here. I've got 3 different cameras on me. There are some really great resources online through 4-H. 4-H publishes some poultry books, and I really, really recommend that if you're a beginner to purchase those series of books. I want to say there's a beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and inside of those books has all of the information and the body parts and everything in there that you would need to know, whether or not you're using a chicken or a duck or a pigeon. Okay, so whatever you would like. Okay, and those are found on 4-H. Shop4h.org is the website. I also want to let you guys know that tomorrow I will be sending a follow-up email with all of the links to the resources that I mentioned tonight, because I know I'm speaking quickly, and so I will follow up with you guys with those resources so that you feel a little bit better connected. Going into some of the more advanced things, we said comb, right, on this chicken. But there's many different types of combs. So for beginner, I would expect you to say comb. But this is a really great area that judges will focus on. Does anybody know why the judges would focus on this area and want to know more information about it? Can anybody tell me?
There's a lot of types have different
combs.
Mm-hmm.
like the pea comb and the strawberry comb and the split comb, which is usually not kind of docked points on.
Okay. There is one or two breeds that do have a... Yeah. So what kind of a comb does my chicken have here?
Single.
Yes, a single comb.
Yeah, single.
Okay. Let me, does anybody have a rose comb or a pea comb? Anybody?
I don't have a chicken. I do.
Who said I
but
do?
it's not in here right now.
Okay, that's fine. Is my silky person still on? Okay. Let me remove my pin here so I can see more of your lovely faces. Does anybody have a
black copper Marin right now, but I don't think he has a rose comb.
Alright, yeah, I think Morans have straight combs. Let's see. Anybody?
Don't Easter eggers have pea combs?
Easter eggers can have a variety of different combs because they're crossed with lots of different breeds. Yeah. Ooh, look at what Aria's got! Aria, can you tell me what kind of comb you have? Let me pin you. We've got something interesting to talk about. What do you have, Aria?
I forgot what this one's called.
Okay. Can anybody help her out? Can you zoom out a little bit so they can see the body of your chicken?
V comb.
Yeah. Does anybody know what breed that is?
This is Polish.
Polish.
Yeah, it's got those lovely slate blue. Okay, so you can see that this dude has a V comb. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Excellent. Ooh, somebody's got a chicken dinosaur in the background. Love it. Awesome. Okay. James, can you show your lovely hen and give us a good example of a straight comb?
Yeah. Well, so I have a Buff Orpington.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she has a straight comb because she's I think it's an English class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really see it.
Yep, we have a nice side view of it. So James, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Do you know how many points your hen is supposed to have on her comb?
5.
Yeah. Okay, now do you see why judges really like to pick on you about your combs? There's just so much to know about them. Thank you, James. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. Is anybody else out there got anything interesting?
My Orpington has a split comb, but I don't have a chicken with me right now.
All right. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to throw myself back up here. Okay. So, there are some really great worksheets with photos of the chicken's combs so that you can practice identifying them. Okay. And for straight combs, there's a certain amount of points that you want on it. Since we live in Wisconsin, chickens with straight combs are actually really, really hard to raise. Oh, it's okay, Francis. My husband doesn't really like me to bring animals in the house either. In Wisconsin, it gets really, really cold and the combs will freeze off. And then you end up with kind of a rose comb, right? And so your judges are looking to see if you kept your chickens warm in the winter. That's why for me, when I'm raising exhibition breeds, it's so much easier to get breeds with like a rose comb because it's tighter to their head and more, frostbite's nasty. Okay. All right. So let me move my camera angle here. Okay. Got the lovely side view. All right. So let's talk about how you hold your chicken and taking it in and out of the cage. So we're kind of jumping back to the beginning here, but the judge may want to see you remove your chicken from the cage before you begin speaking. And so when that happens, if your chicken is in the cage, you want to make sure that you pick up your chicken facing your chest, okay? And when you go to pick up your chicken, you're going to use its legs as an anchor, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to take your pointer finger. Okay, I'm going to move my camera angle here. You're going to take your finger and you're going to put it between the chicken's legs. And then you're going to grasp your chicken's legs with your hand. So you have one finger in the middle and one finger on the outside and your thumb grabbing those legs, okay? This gives you ultimate control. So if your chicken starts freaking out, it can't go anywhere. Please don't do this with your real chickens. But you can feel if you have a stuffed chicken or if you're doing it with your real chicken, you can feel that you have this really nice anchor. Your chicken, no matter how much it flaps, is not going to go anywhere. Okay, so let me show you slow-mo again. Let me flip my poor chicken. So you're gonna, if you're right-handed, then you're going to use your right hand. So pointer finger through the legs, wrap around, thumb around, and hold it secure like that. Feel free to practice. This is one of the biggest faults I see with every level, even advanced. They go and they try to hold their chicken maybe like this or like this, and that's not the correct way. Fingers through the legs, secured, and then we're going to take our other hand and place it on top. It doesn't really matter which fingers as long as you have some type of an anchor. Some people prefer two. It doesn't matter. Whichever you feel comfortable with, as long as you're holding correctly between the legs and your chicken's not going to get away from you and you're not trying to hold it like this or you got the legs scrunched up like this, right? Just make sure that you have your fingers in. I usually just do one, but I have big hands. For those of you with smaller fingers and larger animals, you may want to use two. Okay, and then we're going to place our hand over the top. Now your chicken is fully secured. Okay, so if it starts flapping its wings, you got your hand up here and it can't get out. All right, then here's the fun part. When you're holding your chicken, make sure, let's see here. Let's do this front facing so you can see me. Nope, that's the wrong one. 6. Okay. When you're holding your chicken, make sure that the head is facing your chest and the rear is facing the judge. Does anybody know why? Any thoughts?
So they can
Or doesn't freak out.
Doesn't freak out. What else?
Vent and tail health.
Yeah.
Doesn't see other chickens and goes crazy.
Okay.
Take a puke on you.
Thank you! Yes! So you don't get covered in chicken poo. And the other reasons are good too. Okay, so if your chicken has, ate and drank, it's gonna go potty. And it's gonna be nervous, so it's gonna really wanna go potty. So you wanna make sure that you're holding your chicken away from your body so that when it does go, and I've seen this happen so many times, poor kids get pooped on, okay? Make sure you're holding your chicken away from your body. All right. The last thing you want to do is be distracted because you're covered in really stinky chicken poo, which I think is the worst. All right. So yes. And then this also allows you to be able to show off the vent and some of the other issues, going on with your bird. So as you're holding your bird, you have it locked below, you have your hands on top. Then, because you have it securely locked, you're going to be working with your chicken, so you can take your hand off and do your identifying. Make sure to work with stretching out your chicken's wings and lifting up its head. Make sure that it's very comfortable and that you practice with your chicken ahead of time. Make sure that you've oiled it up, you've given it a bath, you've trimmed its toenails if need be, and that your chicken is sparkly and beautiful and nice and dry, so that you're showing the judge the best possible animal that you have. Okay. So with we have exhibition silkies. So before my kids show and showmanship, they've had a bath the day before. We'll actually take a blow dryer to them just to really get their feathers to fluff up, and so they look really nice. Okay. I certainly downgrade participants who haven't given their chickens baths and made them look really nice, because we're at a show, right? And so they should definitely be nice and clean. When you're training and working with your chicken, if you have one that's just not cooperating, try a different one. Some breeds are just crazy. It is what it is. We have Icelandics. They're very feral. They scream. They're not good for showmanship. That's why we have Silkies. They're very calm. You can see on here, let's see, there was the Buff Orpington. That's a great breed as well. Okay, so
I have some questions. They
sure.
want to know how you wash your chicken.
Okay. Awesome. Good question. So, one of the youth mentioned that their mom doesn't let them bring chickens into the house. If my husband doesn't either, so when I wash chickens, or my girls wash chickens in order to get them ready to go to the fair, we have 1 5-gallon bucket with warm soapy water that has Blue Dawn dish soap in it, and then we have a rinse bucket. And so what we'll do is we'll get the chicken. We'll just take the chicken and put it in the black or the 5-gallon bucket. Kind of swirl it around, pull up some feathers very gently. We don't want to break feathers, and get that soap in there. And then we'll take the chicken out, put a string of dish soap along the back, and start working it in again very gently. We don't want to break feathers. Then we'll put it back in the soapy water, swirl it around, then take it into the other side, dunk in the clean water, get all that soap off, and then set them aside either to dry if it's a hot sunny day, or we will blow dry them. There are some special shampoos that are made just for poultry. That's nice because then you don't have to worry about getting soap in their eyes. So be really aware about their face. If you're using Dawn, don't get anything past the head. You can use baby wipes to clean off their face. And then when they're at the show, in order to them to look all pretty, you're going to want to rub some baby oil in their combs and their wattles and their legs in order to make them look all handsome and pretty. Okay. Other questions? Sure.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So, you were showing us how to hold the chicken, but how tightly do you want to hold its legs?
I would say pretty tightly, but not until the point where you're causing pain. Right? Okay. So, I would say, like, if you take your hand, I don't know if you guys know this trick, but if you take your hand and you don't squeeze really hard and you push on the muscle right here, it's really soft. Okay? And then if you push a little bit more, it's more firm. And then if you push really hard, you can't go anywhere. Okay? So I would say in the medium level, where your muscle is just slightly firm. And that way you're not hurting the chicken. That's how you can tell if your steak is done. Medium.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
slightly squishy. Yeah. So that's the best way to kind of know what types of pressure to put on. So the chickens that have feathers on their heads, that have crests, my biggest suggestion for those of you that raise that breed is to use baby shampoo. You should wash them. Crested breeds are most at risk for mites. Okay, mites and gnats love to get into their head and just drive them crazy. If you're really, really into showing crested breeds, particularly Polish or Crevecoeurs or anything like that, in order to have a beautiful full crest, a lot of exhibition breeders will take painter's tape and they will tape that crest, and the chicken the crest is contained in that painter's tape throughout their regular life, so that it's protected and beautiful. Because then when they take the painter's tape off, it'll come out really, really beautiful. So there's a lot of breeders that will do that. So yes, you should wash your chicken's crest, but use baby shampoo, the tier, like the no cry stuff, right? That's more gentle on their eyes. Yes. Awesome. Ooh, glycerin, yeah. Excellent. Okay, show how to hold the chicken again. Absolutely. Let me change my camera here. Okay, so we've got our little chicken friend. I'm going to take our pointer finger through the legs. And fingers wrap around the legs, grab them from behind, and close in. Okay. So finger through, grab the legs, close in. Okay. Yes, so more advanced, you should be using more advanced words and terminology. Absolutely. That's how you will get to the top of your class. Okay, so. Okay. You're welcome, Luca. Okay, was the question about, okay, so what are parts for ducks and so on and so forth? So for ducks, you can go ahead and find a worksheet online for those. So instead of a beak, they have a bill, they have nostrils, eyes, and then they don't have any of the particular feathers that some chickens do. Their feet, obviously the webbing in the feet is different. And so you can do that. For turkeys, you absolutely can do showmanship with a turkey. My suggestion for showmanship with a turkey is that you're kneeling next to your turkey, because turkeys are huge and they can be difficult to hold. If the judge asks you to hold the turkey, you're going to hold the turkey the same way I showed you. Then you're going to identify some of the parts of the turkey, such as the snood, right, and the neck, and all of the different fun things that they have on their head. They don't have specific feathers, but they do have primary and secondary on the wings. Okay, you can still identify the breed, the market, if it's a market type or a fancy type, and so on and so forth. And so you can go ahead and do that with your turkey as well. Your turkey should be washed. Your ducks should be washed. And so my greatest advice for washing a turkey is to sneak into your dad's sock drawer and grab one of his really long crew socks and stick the sock over the turkey's head, because that calms them down. They can't see or anything, and then have at wash them all up. They don't really fit well in a 5-gallon bucket, so you can use a cow tank or just a sprayer hose. But that's a great use for your dad's long tube socks. So, yeah. Okay.
Other question a couple of times. How long do they get to present before the judge?
Good. You shouldn't take too long, but make sure you take enough time that you give them a good enough impression of what you know. Is there a specific time? Not necessarily. If you have a larger fair, they may say, okay, you have 5 minutes. But normally I would say that, you're going to be talking and interacting with the judge for up to 5 minutes as a beginner, up to 7 to 8 minutes as an intermediate, and 8+ minutes as an advanced. And that is because once you are finished identifying all of the parts of your bird, the judge is going to start asking you questions. So for those of you who are in intermediate and advanced, what are some questions that you got when you were at the beginning stage? What were some of those questions that you got?
What are the different types of combs?
What are different types of combs? Yes.
What is your chicken's breed?
What's your chicken's breed? Yes. And what class it goes in, right? Does anybody know what class my Barred Rock goes in?
English, maybe? American.
Yeah, thank you. Good job. How about that English Orpington? Oh, I just said it. Buff Orpington. It's in English. Sorry. What about the Silky? What class does the Silky go in?
Asian?
Nope. Good try.
European.
Miscellaneous. I know, man.
Feather-legged bantams.
Yeah! Woohoo! Good. Feather-legged bantam. Okay, there's 2 sizes of chicken. There's standard and there's bantam. And Silkies only come in bantam. And bantams are not really identified as breeds. They're identified mostly with their legs and their combs. That's why it's so important. Yes, thank you, Francis. Absolutely. Okay, so, all right, so breed, class, okay. Let's see. Brindley, what kind of a chicken do you have there? She's like, oh no, I got picked on. Let's do some class identifying here. And Brindley, I'm gonna pin you here.
I can't remember.
Okay, maybe we can help you. Can you hold up your chicken so everybody can identify the breed? All right, what do we have? Any guesses? Any thoughts? Can you show us the back end of? Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Any thoughts? She's not pinned.
Is that a Rhode Island Red?
Not quite.
Red bar?
Can't see. You may have to find her and pin her on your own computer. It looks to me. Nope. It looks to me like Brindley, you may have a brown leghorn. Does that sound a little familiar? Yeah, Tyler Chicken. Okay. Looks like possibly a brown leghorn. Either that or maybe a Tractor Supply special. Could be a red. Yeah, red leghorn. Okay. All right. Good deal. Okay, so we're talking about leghorns. If it is, we're not sure. But what class do leghorns go into, guys?
American?
Nope.
Ed Blair.
Nope. Starts with an M.
Mediterranean.
Woohoo! Yay! Mediterranean. Did you know that your chicken is Mediterranean? Okay, awesome. What else do we have lurking in the back here?
So, Emery, is there a good source, resource for them to go to figure out what kind of chickens would be in? A lot are asking that question.
Yes, that's a great question. Does anybody want to talk about what book we use so that we can learn all of these things?
The American Standard of Perfection.
Yeah, Forrest. Forrest, can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
So it's by the American Poultry Association, and they basically decide what the standard breeds are.
Like, our library has the 1980s edition, so, like, in that year, whatever they considered was a standard bred chicken would be in there. And at the fairs, they would try and get as close to the standard, and that is what gets the first prize.
Awesome, Forrest. Do you want to teach for the rest of the night? Okay.
I think I'll...
Well, you did an excellent job. Okay. So, what we're talking about, let me unpin you here. So what he's talking about is the standard of perfection. Like he said, it's published by the American Poultry Association, and American Poultry Association is the authority on how your breeds should be bred. So what it should look like, what the color should look like, what the type should look like, all of the information is in there. And so I don't have mine with me tonight. It's stuck in my office. But I love that Forrest suggested to go to your local library and see if you can get your hands on a copy. Otherwise, you can purchase one. And poultry leaders, if you're on tonight and you don't have a standard, you should really get one. So back to the whole questions from the judge. So the judge is going to ask you what class your chicken is, what color, what variety, if you didn't mention that before. Beginners, judges are going to want to know what you feed your chicken. So you should be able to say, well, I feed 16% protein, which a lot of chicken feeds are. Some for ducks and turkeys, you're going to be way higher. You're going to be in the 20s, okay, or higher teens. They want to know what you're feeding your chicken. And if you can tell them that, what that means to the judge is like, oh, okay, you're involved in your animal's everyday care. Okay. Some kids will tell me, well, they eat bugs, which is true, but I want to know what's in your feed, right? Because once you have chickens, your goal is what? Eggs? A nice looking chicken. And if you don't focus on what's happening on the inside and the nutrition, your chicken isn't going to lay eggs, right? And so it's really important to talk to the judge about what you're doing. You can show a roaster, but your arms are going to be really, really sore afterwards. Just saw that question come in. So that's for more beginners. Intermediate, they're going to get more into incubation questions. How long does it take a chicken egg to incubate? How long does it take a duck egg, a goose egg? How long does it take your turkey? What's a baby turkey called? What's the little hangy thing in front of their nose called? They're going to ask you a lot of those questions. And so really, when I was a youth to prepare, I would read and reread my standard for my breed that I was showing at the fair. So if I was showing a barred rock, I would know my breed inside and out. The standard is going to tell you what year the breed was developed, who developed the breed, how many points are for type. Type means what the body looks like, what my tail angle is supposed to be, all of that really specific information that as an intermediate and advanced, you're going to want to know about your chicken. Okay. And then for a broader range of knowledge, those 3 books from 4-H are a great resource for you to go in and just be looking through them and learning weird facts that may pop up from anywhere. Okay. So keep that in mind as you're getting ready for showmanship. And so that's the second part, and that's probably the longer part of your showmanship presentation, is having that conversation with the judge. And the judge, don't go to your friends and say, oh, what did the judge ask you, so that I can find out. Some judges will ask the same questions, but other judges will mix them up. And if you're really doing good, your judge is going to start asking you a whole bunch of stuff because they're just really impressed with how much you know. So if you are like, well, Bobby only got asked 3 questions and I got asked 10, judges can do that, and don't get worried about it. If the judge is asking you more questions, most likely you're getting them right and you're showing the judge, and the judge is just really interested in hearing your knowledge. Okay. So Yeah, that's for the questions part. I see lots of questions.
Yeah, we had a question about how somebody says fizzle in the name of their bullish
Frizzles? Yeah.
Yeah, where does she put that in the naming of it?
Aha, yes. Okay, so let's talk about birds that are not in the standard. So there are many breeds that are recognized and official and in the standard. And then there's many breeds that are not. Some are because they're what we call a land race. A land race has certain things about it, but they don't look the same. So, for example, I raise Icelandic chickens. They all come from Iceland. They all have similarities, but no one bird looks the same as the others. There is no possible way to put it in a standard. Okay? So that's one circumstance. The other circumstance is what I like to call Tractor Supply Special. Tractor Supply Special is when hatcheries come up with new breeds and they name them really cool things so that people buy them. For example, like a red comet or a mystic Moran. There's no such breed as a mystic Moran. They just name them that way because everybody's like, ooh, my chicken's mystic. And I want one. So there are certainly Morans, but there's no mystic Morans. So how do you know if you have a Tractor Supply Special or a land race or something that's has not been accepted into the standard? Just look it up in the standard. If it's not there, it's not there. And if you do have a Tractor Supply Special, for example, if you have a red comet or a blue sapphire, I think is one of them, you're just gonna say, this is my chicken Susie. She is a blue sapphire, which is not a recognized breed. However, it is bred for egg laying purposes. Okay, so some of you are talking about showing roasters in showmanship. By all means, that's totally fine. You're just going to say, this is my Cornish cross roaster. It is not in the APA standard, but if you're advanced, you could say it is a cross between a Cornish and, oh jeepers, a White Rock. Okay, so you could get back into the genetic history of your animal. That really shows the judge that you know a lot. Okay, well, how would you know this? Do some research, right? So do some research on the breed that you want to show. Now, frizzles and sizzles and all of those things, those are the frizzle gene and some of these more designer genes. Look in the standard. If it's accepted in the standard, for your breed, you can say that. If it's not, you can say that this is more of a designer breed. It's not accepted. So really the standard is going to be your go-to tool in order to find out what the most specific information is. As you get more advanced, you should be looking at other breeds in the standard. If you get me for a judge and I have a lot of advanced kids in a class, I might ask you to trade chickens with the person next to you. So you might get Bobby's Buff Brahma, and you need to tell me all about Bobby's Buff Brahma. What do you know about Brahmas? How many varieties of Brahmas are there? What class do Buff Brahmas go into? So, you should really try to get a nice variety of information and understanding. The best thing that you can do is have a foundation of what breeds go in what class. Okay. All right. So, when you're done presenting to the judge, answering the judge's questions, you should always thank the judge. And then the judge is going to want to see you put your chicken back in the cage. Okay, you're going to turn your animal forward and place in the cage. The reason why we're doing it forward is we don't want to do it backwards and get wings caught and snapped off. We're going to place our chicken, rotate the chicken, and put gently in the cage and let go. And hopefully your chicken doesn't fall over dead like mine did. No, okay? All right, so that's poultry showmanship. Really, really fast. Don't worry, tonight's session hopefully is being recorded and we'll be able to post it. We do run into some snags with having youth on here, but I think we've recorded it the right way. So now I'm just going to pull over my laptop and try to answer a few more questions. I see Emma has her hand raised. Do you guys want to ask your question?
My question is, how do I clean my chicken's beak because it is very dirty?
Awesome question. My biggest suggestion for you is to use a wet baby wipe and really get in there. You may have to use a little bit of a toothbrush to kind of brush some of that dirt off of her beak. What else you could do is, a week before fair, if she really scratches and uses her beak a lot in the dirt, is put her on a wire bottom cage a couple days before fair so she doesn't have an opportunity to get really dirty. So that would be my suggestion. Yeah. Okay. All right. Emily, you have your hand up?
Is that me?
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay.
JC, I'm using my mom's iPad.
Okay.
Could I we have a moving coop, so we'll move it around. Do I just tell me if this is a stupid question, but can I just feed my chicken grass and move it around?
That's
my chicken's grass and move it around.
Awesome.
Or do I have to get feed?
Yeah, good question. So chickens certainly need to have an additional supplement besides grass. They do eat a lot of grass and bugs and things, so that's a really smart idea to have them moving around. But you should also be offering them some type of a calcium mix. So, for example, oyster shells. And then if you want to get eggs, you certainly would need to provide a layer mix and some type of a grain. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. All right. About, let's see, Isla Evenson? Black Stars are certainly a made-up. That's a Tractor Supply breed, by the way.
Chickens.
Hmm?
What about auctioning off chickens? Birds are...
At the fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so every fair has certain rules and requirements in order to participate in the meat sale. So my biggest suggestion to you is to look at your fair book, read it cover to cover in the poultry section, make sure you know what weights are required, how many days old your birds have to be in order to compete, and then talk with your poultry leader or meat sale committee to see what other rules and requirements they have. That I don't want to give blanket statements because every fair is very different.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Colton?
About your last thing, because I know that Lodi, they will only select first place. They select people to go to a meat sale or whatever it is, and but at Dane County, almost everyone can do it.
Yeah, every fair is very different. Absolutely. Yes. Okay, so we have lots of questions coming in about breeds and crossbred. If your chicken is crossbred or, a designer breed, you can just say that my chicken is crossbred. If you know the breeds, go ahead and say that. That shows that you know a little bit more about your chicken. But if you have no idea, you can just say it's crossbred. I saw somebody put on Black Star. Black Stars are a Tractor Supply special. Those are... and again, I'm using that term loosely. That's a designer breed, specifically for egg laying. And they're wonderful. Just because a breed isn't accepted into the standard doesn't mean that it's not for a specific purpose. And some of the breeds that do come through They're wonderful, wonderful egg layers, and they lay the biggest eggs. It's great. So just because your chickens aren't accepted into the standard or you can't find them in the standard, don't panic. That doesn't mean that your chicken is a loser, so to speak, or that you're not going to do well in showmanship. You will certainly be just fine. But any of those breeds, crossbred, blue star, black comets, black stars, any cinnamon queens, any of those, you're going to want to enter into the egg type class. Ducks and turkeys absolutely are in the standard. Ducks and turkeys are a little bit nicer in the fact that they don't really have a lot of designer breeds. Turkeys, there are so many colors and varieties though. So turkeys do. The ducks not as much, but yes, they are in the standard and have all of their own sets of rules and regulations as well. I want to say, oh gosh, there's probably 10-ish turkey breeds that are accepted, and a lot of the breeds that are accepted, besides the kind of the three popular ones, are kind of hard to find. In order to get some of those really rare breeds, you have to order in hatching eggs from specific breeders throughout the nation, which you can do. So if you're interested in hatching eggs, you can get them in the mail, which is pretty neat. Okay, I don't want to go over 8-10, so okay. Ooh, we have the classic information between Easter eggers, Araucanas, and Americanas. Ooh, does one of my more advanced youth that are on tonight, would you like to tell the difference between those three? Because this is a common pitfall. I'm going to snuggle my chicken here.
Araucanas don't have tail feathers.
Yes, Araucanas are rumpless. This is completely tucked down, and the chicken looks like this. It doesn't have a rear tail feathers. They're very rear.
It's very comical. It's hilarious to watch them walk.
Yes, they don't have a tail. How about, okay, and then the other ones have these little funky tufts up the front. So if you have an Easter egger or an Americana, those go in the egg class. Araucanas and let's see, I'm getting them all mixed up. They are actually a specific breed, so make sure you do your research. If most of the time you're not going to have the breed, they're very rare and hard to find. So again, those are they're rumpless. Yes, they're really cool though. Okay. Let's see. How about Luca? Luca, what's your question?
So back to the, like, when you make your opening statements, what do the judges like more like similar like opening statements, like the same basic like structure, or do they like more creativity when it comes to talking?
Good question. I would probably do something a little bit more standard to begin with and make sure that you get all of your boxes checked. And then I would say when you're in the more question answer part is when you can really be creative and show your knowledge, and be more fun and thoughtful about your answers back. But I would do a lot of practicing. I mean, if you do decide to be a little bit more creative in your intro and just making sure that, you know, you've got your breed, you've got your variety, you've got your body parts, you know, and you have that stuff down, and your name and your club, right? So that they can identify you. But yeah, I would have fun with it if you'd want to. Does that help answer your question? Okay. How about Aria? You have a question?
Do the birds have to be like tested or tagged before?
Good question. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. There's a disease going around, and might be really excited about showing chickens this year, but it's gonna be a little interesting. Avian influenza is hot and heavy right now in the United States. We are keeping an eye on it. And so please beware that if AI becomes an issue, there's already a case, I think in Jefferson, maybe. We may not have an opportunity to show our poultry this year, which means maybe your fairs can do something virtual now that we have that option. But let's keep in good spirits. So testing, you have to be able to show that your birds are pullorum free. So there are people throughout the state that are certified pullorum testers. If your chicken is less than 4 months and you bought your chicken from a hatchery, you're going to have that lovely little yellow sheet. That's what you'll use. If your chicken is older than 4 months, for turkeys it's older than 6 months, you have to have a tester come and test your chicken. Okay, your fairs are really used to this. They will all have a system in place of how they help their youth and families to test their birds. So the best advice that I can give you, keep your paperwork or ask for paperwork when you purchase your chicks. Okay, say, I need the NPIP certificate. NPIP certificate. And if they say we don't have one, then you need to make sure that you get your chickens blood tested, and it has to be within 30 days of the event. Then reach out to your poultry leader or your extension office and say, okay, fair's in June. We need to get our birds tested. How do we do this? Who do we talk to? And each county does this differently again, but that's where you can start. So, speaking of which, some of you may have entered into the Fur, Fin, and Feather show that's coming up here in April 30th in Sparta. If you haven't, we would absolutely love to have you there. This is a great chance for you to compete in showmanship and in breed classes. And so we will actually have a tester on site that will test your chickens as you come through the door. If you're interested in participating in that show, we really encourage you to be there. It's going to be a little different from fair because the showmanship judge is going to slow you down and say, okay, you just told me all these parts of the chickens. You did a really good job. Here's some advice here and here's some advice there. So it's more of a teaching show so that you can, get some skills ready, have one time under your belt before you show at fair. And so we really recommend that you do that. So you can register for the Fur, Fin, and Feathers show online. And again, I'll send you the links to register for that. But if you're really interested and after tonight's discussion and answering all of these questions has got you really, really excited about your poultry project, this is a great follow-up activity. And I would love to meet you face-to-face and to meet some of your beautiful chickens face-to-face as well. Okay, it's 8:11. I know I didn't get a chance to answer all of your questions. Yes, the show is absolutely for beginners. Yes, but it is also for advanced and intermediate, so we can sit down and work with you guys as well to try to help you get to the next level. While there's intermediate and advanced at the fair, we can also start getting you into statewide and nationwide poultry competitions if that's something that you're really interested in. Okay. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of stuff to process. So I'm not going to get to all of your questions tonight. I think that we probably could do a follow-up Zoom, answering some questions. Otherwise, feel free to email me. My email, if you just click reply to the 4-H Online email that you got with the Zoom link invitation, and ask your questions, I'm more than happy to help you or give you advice. I could sit and talk chickens 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. I love them. And so I apologize for not being able to answer them all. But it is a school night, so Thank you. And yes, Amy put a survey in the chat. If you would just take a few minutes here and head to that survey and give me some feedback and some information, and we will go from there. Have a fantastic night and keep working with your poultry project. And thank you for your participation.